They are really going at it this time. My hands are shaking, my heart is racing. I have to see what's going on. So I go to the top of the stairs, I'm peeking through the railing, I'm listening in. I can't make out what they're saying. But then I hear my dad loud and clear, "I'm out of here, you keep the kid." This wasn't an isolated incident. I was always walking on eggshells. So I came to believe that if I could just do everything perfectly, I could be good enough. But the reality is that perfect is impossible, and impossible is stressful. So stress and anxiety, it had become my new normal. But normal doesn't mean healthy. So I was only 46 years old when I collapsed on my basement floor. I'd had a stroke. You see, my stress and anxiety, it skyrocketed my blood pressure, and that caused my brain to hemorrhage. I seemed young and healthy, but it happened anyway. And here I was, well established for over 20 years, both in traditional healthcare and in all kinds of different modalities of the healing arts. And I find myself having to learn how to walk and to talk all over again. Imagine me in a wheelchair in a nursing home at the age of 46. Now you might be thinking, I'm stressed, Sonia, but it doesn't mean I'm going to have a stroke. Well, this is true. I had an actual physical stroke, but let me ask you, what is your stroke? It might not look the same for you as it did for me. For some people, it shows up as belly fat, right? Stubborn weight that you just can't lose. Maybe even diabetes, fatty liver. For some people, it shows up as brain fog, when you just can't remember things the way you used to, and your brain feels kind of cloudy and funky. Or maybe it shows up as burnout, that overwhelming feeling of like, I just can't keep going anymore. I have the stress, anxiety, depression, overwhelm. It's just all consuming. Well, situations in life, situations in the world, it can all be very disruptive. But let's think about it this way. With every disruption, we have the opportunity to discover something better, maybe even something magical. What does that mean? Well, my magic moment happened while I was stuck in the nursing home. I'm not even kidding here. I saw that if I did not disrupt the status quo, disrupt my limited thinking, disrupt the negativity of others telling me I was never going to get any better, if I didn't disrupt that, like a pattern interrupt, I would never discover my ZaZaZu. What is ZaZaZu? ZaZaZu is your own personal magic, your sparkle, your essence. Now let me introduce myself. I'm Sonia Sullins, and I'm a life coach and a functional health coach. And I believe we all deserve to find our ZaZaZu. So what did I do? I researched, I studied, I invested everything I could for years. And I discovered that the mainstream is full of myths and full of misinformation, and it's really so confusing. We hear one thing, and within 10 minutes we hear the direct opposite. And it ends up that we just don't know where to go, so we go nowhere. We stay kind of paralyzed in old thinking, just like I was physically paralyzed at one point. So we need to disrupt that pattern. And in doing so, that led me to develop my Disrupt to Discover method. I have helped hundreds of women and men who are just like you to uncover their personal strokes. Now, in the time we have together here today, I won't talk for the entire hour. I'll probably talk for 30 or 40 minutes and open it up to questions. But I want to share with you 3 strategies that, when implemented correctly, will help you discover your ZaZaZu. So, for today, we're going to first talk about optimize your hormones to disrupt belly fat. 2, feed your brain gratitude to disrupt brain fog. And 3, balance your nervous system to disrupt burnout. Sound good? All right, let's get started with belly fat. I mean, it could be physical stress, emotional stress, chronic stress that you just don't even know why you're stressed. Many of us are living with stress and anxiety. And it can consume us. It can hijack our bodies and our brains. And this is a particularly stressful time. And I know myself as well as others, it's not like I walk around going, gee, I think I'm stressed. There's just an environment shift. There's uncertainty. And right underneath the surface, it's creating a stress, anxiety, and an imbalance of our hormones. So, for many of us, what do we do when we're stressed? We calm ourselves, and we do this with emotional eating. We tend to binge eat or stress eat. And when you're feeling overwhelmed and you start wearing your stretchy pants every day and you have constant access to food, your refrigerator is just a couple steps away, it's the perfect storm for weight gain and declining health. And you are not alone. In fact, almost 3/4 or almost 75% of this nation's adults are in the category of being overweight or obese. And there's so many people in that category now that often we don't even recognize what normal healthy weight looks like or feels like. And so we stay in this pattern, and it just keeps getting worse over the years. And that leads to some really serious health conditions that are kind of build up on you and can even cause mortality. So we need to really be conscious about our health in that way, because it's really important to not just look good physically, but to know that you need to be nourishing yourself internally as well. So those extra pounds might mean you see your favorite jeans going unworn. There they are, laying in a heap in the corner of the closet because the last time you tried them on, you couldn't get them zipped up, so you ripped them off and threw them off to the side. You might notice that you're starting to skip social events. Now that is a funny one for this time, because now they're virtual, but you're still on video. I don't know. Getting used to video is kind of weird. It's one thing to be somewhere in person, but then it's like if you're there in video, you're kind of there forever. And if you are carrying extra weight, now it's on video forever. And that can feel really uncomfortable. Well, and then you look around one day and you see that you've been living smaller every day, and your waist is getting bigger, and those extra pounds are about more than fitting into your favorite jeans. This is you. This is your health. This is your ZaZaZu, and it's not your fault. It doesn't have to be this way. So first, let's talk about hormones, okay? I bet we can all relate to the frustration you feel when your weight shoots up and won't budge. It happens when we're under stress. It's like a vicious cycle, because even as you cut calories, your scale goes up and up. Stress makes cortisol, which is your stress hormone, increase. Too much cortisol makes you fat, and too much cortisol stimulates your appetite. Double whammy. So what else happens? Stress and anxiety, as we mentioned before, it causes emotional eating. But emotional eaters, you know what they tend to binge on? Too much sugar. So when you eat too much sugar, your body produces too much insulin. Now, insulin is also known as the fat storage hormone. So maybe you haven't struggled with weight gain yet, but if you have carb addiction, if you are always seeking snacks, if you have a sweet tooth, those pesky pounds are likely just around the corner. And this actually reminds me of one of my coaching clients, Kathy, And this kind of happened to her where, she was snacking and eating every 2 hours and always looking for the next snack. Like she never felt satisfied or never felt full. And then she was like, this has got to change because I just ate a big dinner and I'm no more than finished this dinner and I'm already searching through the refrigerator looking for the next delectable thing I can munch on, but I'm piling on the pounds. So then went the process of strict dieting, exercising strenuously. She's working out every day. Well, you know what? You know what happened? Nothing. Nothing happened. She didn't lose any weight. And then she felt even worse about herself. Now she's kind of stressed out about that. So her first step to working with me in the coaching program to get all of this put on the train back on the track going in the right direction, was she took my free ZaZaZu health assessment. And you can too. You can do it online at soniasullins.com. What else can you do? Well, you can do this today. Start tracking everything you eat in Carb Manager or whatever other app you like, and then start whittling away the carbs, and that'll help to whittle away your waste. Now, rookie mistake alert, cutting carbs without adding in healthy fat. All right, if you just cut carbs and you don't add fat, you're gonna feel like you're starving to death. Your body and your brain will actually struggle and your hormones will be out of whack. You didn't really help anything, you just tortured yourself, so don't do that. But you might be thinking when I say that you need to eat fat and not carbs, you're gonna be like, well, yeah, but Sonia, fat's unhealthy. That will make me fat. Like everybody knows that, we've known that forever. But the truth is, fats are not only healthy, they may be the fountain of youth. And it's not your fault that you've been fat phobic. We all are. And I'm going to tell you how this happened. Dating back to 1958, an American scientist, Ansel Keys, published a faulty study that linked heart disease to dietary fat. The actual data refuting his theory was hidden. Well, since then, modern nutritional policy has been based on that bad science. Soon, fat was vilified and taken out of foods. You probably remember when this all happened. And when you take the fat out of foods, what do they taste like? Well, they're disgusting. They taste terrible. There's no flavor. And so to make the food tasty so they could sell it and we could eat it, they added it back in sugar. Okay? So as we started eating fat-free everything, that was me, I was in that camp, our sugar consumption skyrocketed. And ironically, so did our waistlines. Everyone's telling you that fats will make you fat and unhealthy. Even though they are wrong, this explains why they believe it to be true. Disrupt this outdated thinking to discover how to get results based on the latest research. All right, the next thing, moving off of belly fat, I want to talk about brain fog. There's a couple things they have in common with how we can address it, and so we'll get to that too, just a minute. Now let me ask you, do you have brain fog? I mean, maybe for you it's forgetting where you left the keys, or maybe it's not having the bandwidth to mentally organize or finish a project, or maybe it's that fuzzy feeling that makes learning new information really difficult. Brain fog can also cause feelings of anxiety, depression, and lack of motivation. So what should you do? The same advice I had for you in the last section about belly fat is true here as well. You know how we talked about the effects of insulin and cortisol on belly fat? Well, too much insulin deteriorates your brain health. What? Yes, it's true. Okay, so it's like when you leave the radio on. You're driving, you pull in your garage, your radio is on, you just turn off your car, but you didn't turn off the radio, right? You just left it on. And you go back you go in the house, get off your groceries, do whatever. Well, the next morning, you head out to your car, you get in, you start the car, boom, what happens? your radio is blasting and you're there shaking your head, think to yourself, oh my gosh, why was I listening to the radio so loud last night? Well, you know what? It didn't seem loud to you last night because your brain had acclimated to the radio being on and then to the volume being high, right? It just acclimated. Well, the same thing happens with insulin. Too much insulin and your brain just ignores it and your blood sugar just keeps going up and up because you've become acclimated to or resistant to insulin. This is how we go into prediabetes, type 2 diabetes, and it's called being, metabolically rigid. It's when you say my metabolism doesn't work anymore. This is all part of that process. So, the University of Texas Health Science Center in San Antonio found that high levels of stress and the resulting high levels of cortisol increased memory loss and brain shrinkage. Cognitive decline would be another way to say that. And probably one of the more concerning parts about the study is that this was realized at participants at age 48. It's not exactly being elderly to be having brain shrinkage and memory loss. So in this high stress time, it's even more important to have a strategy. Now, here's a little talked about fact, and it's something you can do starting today. Feed your brain fat and not sugar. If you do that, you'll be able to balance your hormones, reduce cravings, improve chronic conditions, and improve your brain health. Now, we talk in depth about this in my online coaching program, the Disrupt to Discover method. But for now, I just want to move on to another strategy that you can easily do for your brain starting today. Change your brain fuel for peak brain health. And here's how it works. Too much sugar creates too much insulin. And if this is you, the first signs are weight gain, lack of energy, and decreased mental clarity. In the body, insulin resistance causes diabetes. In the brain, insulin resistance causes cognitive decline, and even neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. So we need to change the fuel source for the brain to do something other than glucose. The good news is that the body and the brain also use fat as a fuel source. We don't really think about that as being the fuel source. We think that it needs glucose. So glucose creates the high insulin, which creates the insulin resistance, which creates getting fat, and that creates the brain damage. It all goes like this. So you cannot become fat resistance. Fat turns into something called ketones when it's used as a fuel. Your brain loves ketones. So does your body, but your brain really does love them. And you cannot become ketone resistant. It can always use them. So you could literally stop feeding your brain the damaging glucose and give it ketones for fuel instead, and allow the brain deterioration to stop, and maybe even repair some damage that's been done. So the chances are you've been depending on the carbs, on the sugar for energy for years, for decades even. I mean, I didn't know another way. And chances are you may have too much insulin in your body and your brain. I was just on the borderline of type 2 diabetic when I decided learn how to make all these changes. So like me, the chances are you might be insulin resistant. So there's a window of opportunity here to fix our brain before even more damage is done. Like, the more damage, the harder and the longer this process to get back to where you want to be, the longer it will take. So why not start now, right? And however long it takes, but at least you started today and you didn't wait for tomorrow. So what else can we do in addition to nutritional and hormonal approaches to boosting brain health? Okay. Well, we can rewire the brain for happiness with gratitude. So this quote is from Oprah Winfrey, and I really like it. She says, "Be thankful for what you have and you'll end up having more. If you concentrate on what you don't have, you will never have enough. Gratitude is said to be a natural antidepressant. This means it's a great stress reliever. It produces a feeling of long-lasting happiness and contentment. When we express gratitude, our brain releases dopamine, serotonin. These are two really important neurotransmitters that are responsible basically for our happy emotions. By focusing on gratitude every day, we can help these neural pathways to strengthen themselves and ultimately create a superhighway for a state of gratitude and positivity that's actually within ourselves. So what happens is, like anything, you're creating habits, right? And we tend to see or notice things that are negative because that alerts us to danger, and that's part of our survival instinct, right? So in order to get on the gratitude path, in order to make this your go-to state instead of negativity, it takes work, because right now it's a little gravel road. Maybe it's not even a road yet. Maybe it's tall grass, no one's even tamped down a path through it yet. I don't know. It could be a little, it could be a lot of work you need to do, but you need to get started on doing it and practicing it so that it can become a path, and then it can become a gravel road, and then it's a big old highway, and now it's a natural thing for you to do. So when we don't do that, if we don't carefully curate the environment around us, we just get exposed to so much negativity that we ourselves become negative and we don't realize it, because we're just going down that super highway of negativity. And that's miserable, but we don't even realize we're doing it. So we just keep doing it, and it keeps making that pathway stronger. So when I was in the nursing home, I felt helpless and hopeless. I felt like a burden, and I was filled with negativity. It was eating me up inside. I did not have any extra bandwidth to be giving my energy away to negativity, but I couldn't even seem to help myself. Okay, so then one day I'm struggling down the hallway with my walker, and this lady, she's another resident in the nursing home, so like she stops me. She's got a big smile on her face. She says, "Oh my goodness, dear, you're doing so much better." Of course, I'm thinking, no, I'm on a walker in a nursing home. I'm not doing good. But anyway, she goes on to say, "Just look at you. I remember when you first got here and you were in such bad shape." And there it is, folks. Wake up call. That's when I realized that it was time to start doing things differently. That's actually a time when I decided to start really doing some heavy-duty gratitude work, because gratitude really does affect the brain. It releases toxic emotions, it reduces pain, it improves sleep quality, it reduces stress, anxiety, and depression. Now, I take you through a number of strategies and exercises in my coaching program so that you can find what feels most comfortable for you and effective for you. Almost all my clients love this one though. So your action step for today is to start a gratitude journal. Maybe you think this sounds silly. Maybe you did it once a long time ago and kind of dropped off from doing it, or maybe you just thought you'd never want to do one in the first place. Either way, I'd really like you to put it on your to-do list. And what I'm going to ask you to do is to every day think of 10 things that you can be grateful for. Write them down or type them down, whatever works for you. I challenge you to start now and just make this small thing a practice that you do every day. And it will start to get easier and easier. But in the beginning, it might not be. So don't worry if you repeat the same thing over and over. Don't even worry if you have a hard time thinking of 10 things. I remember when I was feeling so low and angry and everything was a mess. The only way I could get to 10 things that I was grateful for, I was like, I can't think of 10. Oh, there they are. 10 fingers. Now you might think I was being trite or obstinate, but in that moment I went, wow, you know what? There are people that don't have 10 fingers. I do. And I'm actually super grateful for that. And that's where I had to start. So it's okay to start small. Just start. Okay, so we did belly fat and we did brain fog, but I also want to touch on burnout. Burnout could be mental exhaustion. It could be physical exhaustion. It could be emotional exhaustion. It could be the combination of all of it. Burnout is caused by excessive and prolonged stress. It occurs when you feel overwhelmed, emotionally drained, unable to meet the demands and the challenges that you face in life. Maybe you have a mid-afternoon slump. Maybe you find yourself with a short fuse and you're snapping at the smallest things or snapping at pretty much everything. I mean, maybe you're just suffering from fatigue, like you're like, oh my God, I just can't even get out of bed, right? Now, remember how I felt when I was always walking on eggshells? And then how it became harder and harder to manage my stress and anxiety as the years went by? And then how my blood pressure skyrocketed and I had a brain hemorrhage? Well, you know what? I was in a serious state of burnout and it just all caught up with me. I mean, I'd like to say, wow, that never happens. But you know, getting to a state of burnout is shockingly common and it sneaks up on us, right? It's not like you wake up one day and you go, wow, I'm in burnout. It accumulates over time. It wears us down over time. And according to WebMD, 75 to 90% of all doctors' office visits are for stress-related ailments. People aren't going in and going, hey doc, I think I have stress. Maybe they are, but they're going in with other complaints that are keeping them from enjoying life or from engaging with life, and they're causing pain, causing diseases, causing all kinds of stuff. And at the root of it was this unmanaged stress and anxiety. Belly fat, brain fog, and burnout all share some common triggers. So no matter where you start, you can positively impact all three. The important part is just to start. When stress and anxiety become your new normal, it can be nearly impossible to realize when you're hitting your breaking point. Maybe you've even forgotten what it feels like to be free of its grip. The frustrating part is, I was doing everything I knew of to manage my stress and it wasn't working. And just like when you diet and fail, when you try to do anything and fail, well, you feel like a failure. And I don't know about you, but feeling like a failure dramatically adds to my stress and anxiety. Safe to say, burnout was consuming me. I mean, I was gaining weight for no reason. I couldn't sleep at night, but I was completely exhausted all through the day. I was irritable, sad, and I had no motivation to do anything. This list was long, but it was getting longer. There are a lot of things that I know now that I just didn't know then. So you can only do with it what you can based on starting where you are. So here are some things. My cortisol was sky high. I didn't know that, and even if I would have known it, I wouldn't have known what to do about it. I was carb addicted and grazing all day, and this was making my insulin too high. So I'm like, yeah, they say eat every 2 to 3 hours. So I did, and it just kind of, a snowball effect. It just kind of got out of hand. Bad eating habits, lack of sleep, unmanaged stress. I mean, all of this was causing a physical response. Worse than weight gain. It was causing inflammation. Inflammation is at the root of so much of what ails us. So now I'm about to share another little secret with you. It is something doctors rarely talk about. It is powerfully impactful, and you can do it from home, and it's free. It's a way to connect your body and your brain to fix burnout. Okay, we are going to do this by improving something called vagal tone. Vagal, V-A-G-A-L, vagal tone. Now you might be wondering, what is vagal tone? Vagal tone is an indicator of your overall health. It's said to be your ancient hidden healing pathway. It's part of your nervous system, and it connects your brain to your digestive tract, and it connects to all your different organs and systems of the body, throughout the body. So it's like a two-way communication that connects everything. And what does that is something called the vagus nerve. It's the longest, most complex nerve or nerve bundle in the body, connects with the C10 nerve. So high vagal tone can make you healthier, happier, and more resilient. That's what we need, because if we're resilient, we can better able to handle stress and anxiety and get away from depression, not go there, or if we go there, get better from it, be able to sleep, all these things. Resilience is key. The vagus nerve signals the brain to release feel-good hormones like we talked about before, like dopamine, serotonin, endorphins. So the good news is you can give up sugar and still get the happy hormone release, but you're going to do it through your vagus nerve instead of through the cookies. Now, if you're easily stressed out and having trouble calming down after experiencing stress, or if you feel like you're always in fight or flight mode, or you're always like worst case scenario thinking, you're just like, you can't shut your brain down, like it's annoying even to you, it just won't shut up. Well, you have low vagal tone. You can improve vagal tone by stimulating the vagus nerve. Now, does this actually work? Yes. In fact, the FDA has approved of a surgically implanted device that periodically stimulates the vagus nerve. However, this is an invasive approach. You don't have to resort to that. We're going to look at some other ways that you can improve vagal tone. These techniques are simple and they're effective. I'm not going to go through all of them, just going to hit on a couple of them that I know are super easy to do. Singing, humming, chanting, and gargling. Deep and slow breathing. Meditation. Also exercise, massage, socializing, and laughing. Now I know we have this social distancing thing, but we still have our social media outlets, and don't lose your connection with people. It's really important to keep that going. And then also acute cold exposure. That one's a little more complex. Now we don't have time today, but I do guide my clients to a really good exercise that uses methods 1, 2, and 3. All three of those, all combined in one technique. Okay. So why this is cool, it's kind of fun to do, and it feels really good. So in the short term, you're going to feel relaxed, you're going to feel happy, it's going to calm you down, people notice their mind clears up, and over time, you can see really dramatic results, real big improvements in all different areas of your health, mental health, physical health, emotional health, like a lot of really cool things. So these effects are cumulative and they build up over time, and it's kind of like that gratitude superhighway I was talking about. It's not the kind of thing where you can just do this activity once and go like, there, I did it. You kind of have to like make it a part of you, a part of your day, so that your vagus nerve keeps getting stimulated, so that it actually improves tone. And because it would be like saying, well, I'm gonna go and lift weights on Wednesday because then I'm gonna have big strong muscles, and it's not going to work that way. You're going to have to work out those muscles a little bit, periodically over time, and you're going to look back a year later and go, wow, look at all the physical improvements I've made in my health by working out. It happened over time. It didn't happen by doing it once. But I know it's hard to be patient sometimes. The other thing is that you could add, because remember the third thing was meditation, and then we had the gratitude journal, but you could do a gratitude meditation. There's absolutely every possibility that you could combine the gratitude work with the vagal tone work and do it all together. That would be kind of a cool way to do it, right? So just to recap what we've covered today: get rid of sugar to get rid of belly fat. Practice gratitude to clear brain fog. Improve vagal tone to manage burnout. Now, if you are interested in discovering insight into your inner workings, I offer a personalized ZaZaZu health assessment that you can take online at SoniaSullins.com. Your individualized results are sent right to your inbox. And again, you can just go to SoniaSullins.com. Now, before I go, I just want to leave you with this. Your future happiness and vitality, your ZaZaZu, it starts with what you do today. What will life with ZaZaZu look like for you? I mean, picture a day when you feel slim and energetic, when you enjoy a clear mind and dynamic energy. Picture a day when you hear your friends, your spouse, your coworkers tell you how great you look and how youthful and vibrant you are. Picture a day when you feel confident, empowered, and ready to take action on your dreams. You can do this, and I can help. And together, we can elevate your health and your happiness. Are you ready for some ZaZaZu?